We live here in La Harpe, Illinois, which is western Illinois, about 10 miles off the Mississippi River. My grandfather's grandparents bought the farm in 1903, and successive generations have basically lived here ever since then. For the last 5 generations, we've been growing mostly corn and soybeans. We grow some wheat and some double crop triticale, as well as raised cattle. We've got 3 little boys. Behind most farmers, they've got family at them. They got wives and children, and my wife's been kind of key in that. She makes what I do easy. So Dad and I have worked together since I got back from the Army. There's not a whole lot better job to have than to be able to work with your family on your own property since you've been on since you were a little kid. So it's kind of a dream job for us anyway. Dad and I do the vast majority of it. Grandpa, he still does a lot of mowing for us. So what's interesting about being the 5th generation to start is, you come in with a certain amount of expectation, you come in with a certain perception of how things work and how they don't. And one of the key things for me has been, let's take the guidance that those things provide, but then, can we work outside of that box and maybe learn something that you just didn't expect, and that's probably been, one of the keys to getting where we're at, is being willing to cast aside some of those old notions, I guess. The first couple of years that we kind of went on this high yield journey, Dad was pretty skeptical, obviously. I'm not saying we didn't have pitfalls along the way, stuff that we learned the hard way, so to speak. But, when you start to nail down numbers that you've never seen before, that makes the whole let's try new things like Genesis a lot easier. This year we were incredibly dry from about May to the end of June. We got less than an inch of rain from about the middle of May until the 20th or 25th of June, and we were under drought stress earlier than I've ever seen it. With starting with Genesis this year, we have a big jump farm average-wise. I expect that'll continue. Once we were able to pull ears, and get a good idea what the weight was going to be, we were, to say shocked, I was actually in disbelief. The first 2 or 3 times I did it, I did the math. I thought that can't be right, and so it took me a couple more weeks to get some outside samples and verify that actually the weight was there. Genesis is a good part of that, and then not only the products, but the people that they bring, the experience that they've got, along with the other growers, that we can all kind of collaborate to a certain extent. The first thing that jumped out at me this year as something that was new was we weren't setting the extra brace roots that we don't want to see. We also were seeing a lot of dents, the dent in the corn being pushed out, or, partially or almost completely, which is always a good sign. And right now, the last 2 to 3 weeks, as corn's been drying down, we've been able to check our ear weights, and that's been a substantial increase. The area average is probably, a 0.4 pound ear this year. Right now we've been running about 0.54 pounds per ear, which is pretty substantial ear, and it's a pretty substantial increase over kind of the average for the area. So we try to be in some field every day, and that as Randy likes to say, the best thing your field can see is your shadow. You have to kind of establish that baseline, what's normal, and then you see stuff that's abnormal pretty quickly after that. We've got some potential maybe to set our highest farm average, the highest average we've ever had on record. One of the keys that anybody will tell you the same thing as far as corn growing goes is getting that even, consistent emergence, getting those plants out of the ground at nearly the same time. And that's kind of the start of the whole process, because once that seed gets planted, your yield levels are going to do nothing but go down. I mean, you set a bar, and then it just comes down from there. So it's just a matter of how much yield can we keep from our potential that we started with when that plant got planted and when it first came out of the ground. So one of the most interesting things that Genesis has brought to the table is not only have you got Philip with his experience, but you've got all the growers that he deals with that we can all somewhat work together and kind of give each other hints and help each other out, to get where we want to get. Well, Matt Miles from Arkansas, Kevin Matthews from North Carolina. Well, he said, this is kind of the stuff that we're pleased with, Carbos being one of those, Vitaterra and the Invigorate. Those guys have helped me tremendously. Matter of fact, Kevin, may have had a big impact this year. And it's just one or two little things can make a big difference. I'd like to win, the national competition for no-till, strip-till, the non-irrigated version of it. and I think we've got a chance at that. I mean, soils-wise doesn't get much better, climate-wise it doesn't get much better. It's just a matter of can we put all the pieces together, and I think Genesis is going to be a key part of that program to maybe win the national corn contest. Goals for the future go, this year we're kind of hoping that maybe we can capture that no-till, the no-till competition in Illinois, and I think we've got a pretty good shot at that with Genesis on our side. And then as going forward, we'll be looking more heavily at soybeans and trying to win the state competition there. I mean, the Invigorate's probably numero uno, probably number one. I'm a really big fan of Carbos. It's not something that we're going to spend a lot of money on, and we think we see a consistent enough benefit. It's going to feed the biology. It's going to do what you need it to do. So this year we've got some drought resistance trials out with silicated immerse. I think we'll see that silicated immerse delivered that punch that we needed at a time when we were drought stressed and we needed the plants to just hold on. This year we added Genesis Ag to our arsenal of companies that we use to bring that yield about, and right now I'd say it looks really good.